So, I'm happy to announce Igor Perko and Žan Domanjko. We are both coming from University of Maribor, and I'm also coming from the World Organization of Systems and Cybernetics and Slovenian Society for Systems Thinking. And yeah, well, I will not present results of our research. I will try to open the discussion on an issue which might be important. It's about intelligent negotiation in personal data sharing. So it's a highly technical topic which should not be addressed only from the technical perspective, but from the social perspective. And this is so. Well, the first question is, and this is the one we will try to answer, is: can we enable a fair, safe, productive, socially responsible personal data sharing? What are we talking about? Data sharing is something we normally do, sharing information, sharing everything. No, things have changed because right now the data is being shared and will be shared in the future by smart devices. Yep. And they are, and most of importance is that they will be sharing our data in our smart homes, in our smart offices, in our smart cars, everywhere. And there is a hybrid reality construct which was published in Kubernetes and is in open access, so you can try to look it up. And there we can identify multiple stakeholders in the society which kind of have different roles in this data sharing. The really important part in that is that some participants, some stakeholders become passive, so that they do not really know what is going on, how the things are running, and do not have effect on the environments they live in. If we're talking about people, it's about living in a digital society. And therefore, we claim that an intelligent solution for governing these processes is required. So we do need intelligent data sharing governance solutions. Just a short think about what is this data sharing. It is your phone listening to you? Who or what is it sharing the information you are? If you are web browsing and you have accepted cookies, it's listening, it's sharing your information. So it involves quite a lot of biometrical data, which might be quite problematic from the personal standpoint, right? Let's go through some definitions. Oh, here is a nice picture of a smart home. So hybrid reality, it elaborates on the time frame in which artificial intelligence technology develops its capacity, and we are still in the process of doing that, actively participate with other hybrid reality stakeholders. That means artificial intelligence becomes active part of our society. And it has three basic capacities, and we are seeing that those are developing. The capacity to sense through sensors, such as mobile phones. Reason, this is currently called artificial intelligence, so basically creating models. And the third one is really, really interesting, to act in the real world. And we already can see some examples of that. Basically, autonomous cars are doing. Well, hybrid reality is a period that it ends in the stable relationship between artificial intelligence and other stakeholders. hopefully, if we can affect what this final relationship between us will be, I would really like to affect that. Yeah, actively. Personal data. What are we talking about? Which data are we talking about? It's mostly biometric data: body temperature, eye movement, fixation point, heartbeat, skin moisture. These are things which are going out of the labs into devices. Yeah, you can see others, but importantly, it's also the environment. It's about ground penetrating data: water, oil, mines content, fish, krill swarms, level of methane in farms, etc. This is data which is important, and it's important for the nature. And frankly, nature is quite passive regarding data sharing, because when you implement a sensor on the nature, for instance, fractioning for oil, the data belongs to the company which does that. And in this case, the nature is really passive. It does not have any means to. Is it okay to do that? I don't know. And yes, we have this in smart devices which are getting connected. And currently we are following this concept, and that's data collecting concept. That means that individuals, organizations, the environment is sharing data. This data is stored in data lakes, managed, used by organizations to develop artificial intelligence algorithms. And the main focus of this process is optimization. It's how to optimize the data getting to the algorithms in being analyzed. And if there is any hindrance in that process, it has to be eradicated. It is about optimizing data. We are proposing a different approach. We are proposing data sharing, which is basically the clear distinction is in data ownership. Who owns the data? We are talking about data is asset. Okay, who owns it? And currently the answer is the one who manages it. So basically large IT corporations. Frankly, if we have data producers and data consumers, we are standing at the standpoint that data producers should be data owners. From the legal perspective, it's a huge difference, because it does make, it relates to the ownership rights, which are declared quite nicely and quite exactly. And if you change the paradigm, then GDPR and other documents start to make sense, because you are protecting the ownership of the data producers. Okay. And we have identified three stakeholders: data producers, data consumers, and the regulators. The real issue in data sharing is that none of the data players, except data consumers, have the capacity to deal with that. Nobody. We are trying to, deal with. Are you trying to deal with which data do you share? I'm afraid that you don't have the time to do that. You just decide to accept whatever. You decide to install an app, and then it says, we will listen to your microphone. You say, yes, you may listen to it. Okay. Because we don't have the capacity to deal with that. And also, the other one is the regulators. The speed of the development is so fast that regulators, no matter how much they try, they are lagging. And the regulation is always several steps behind the actual development in the real world. Okay? We are proposing data agents who work in behalf of data producers, in behalf of data of regulators, and in behalf of data consumers. And they do the heavy work. Okay? So, here comes the question. How to do that? How to implement a kind of software which nobody has seen before, and saying, well, yes, it's a protection software. It is intended to, data agents from the agency concepts. They do work in the behalf of the contractor. So, if you are a data producer, basically, if you own a phone and you have your exercises, you are producing data, and somebody has to really deal with the requests of sharing your data or desire to share your data in your behalf. So you have data agents who are operationally controlling the data sharing. The issue is that it is usually a two-step process. You first negotiate on which data should be shared, how they should be shared, and only after you have a, let's say, valid contract for sharing data, you share that, right? You don't really negotiate for each type of information. Is it going to be shared or not? So, we propose that data agents negotiate on data preferences, on expectations of the data consumers, and are aligned with the regulations, basically the law, also social responsibility concepts, other concepts, other ethical concepts which are there, and are, it prevents exploitation of data producers. Okay. Now, let's see if we can have a case here. Yep. I will try to run a short video. Let's see if that works. This video, I recorded it standing on a pedestrian walk, right? And you can imagine this is basically the data that can be recorded about you standing there. You can see there is a red light. There are people, there are cars. It's a busy street. Yep. I don't know if that is me. Obviously, I'm trying to go over the red light or not. I'm looking at the woman and the running man. And obviously, I cross the street, right? Now, the question is anybody interested in this kind of information? Right? Let's see. Marketing agency might be interested if I actually had a visual fixation on the commercial which was around the street, right? And what they would like to have is high quality data for their marketing research. What a data producer might want to have is some kind of a compensation for that. This is data of me watching at commercials. Let's see if that work or not. If you are really interested, you will pay something for that. I might have a healthy style training app installed. And this is something we already agreed upon, because if I installed a healthy health lifestyle training app, I accepted the terms that it will use the sensors of my devices, right? and it's an ongoing sharing on physical activity. I don't know where this data is going to, usually somewhere, but I would like to know, and it would be great if my agent would know and not really share it with me. But yes, let's keep a track of where our health data is stored, how it's stored, if it's deleted or not, right? Well, a friend's mobile device. Well, if I run across the street, it was a friend of mine, and it would be great if we exchange contacts and agreements to share locations automatically, but not really in any cases, because if I would like to meet that friend, that's cool. I would like to go to a coffee with him, and yeah, I didn't see it, but my mobile devices spotted him or her. But maybe this is not really the case. Maybe I would rather not meet him or her and wouldn't spend coffee. So it should really be good in assessing the situations.
Igor, if I may disturb you, it's only 4 minutes until the break.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So, and there are several more. For instance, National Security Agency. Yes, police. You know, I almost crossed the red light. City traffic planners who would like to know how the city is run. Smart cars approaching. That would be safe. Medical social study about people walking in rural environments. So a lot of data can be shared, should be shared, but should be shared socially responsible. Yep. And what I do think is that help is needed. I think it's a really, really valid start for research to see how to develop that. Not only to see in the retrospective how the technology affected the society, but really try to plan ahead to have a more proficient use of technology for the better of society. And yes, thank you, Anita. And I would leave it at that.